The industry kind of works now is that if we get a product tastes like nothing we've ever had before, put it in a new bottle, put a new sticker on it, call it something else. So, pretty fun. Now we're going to keep heading this way. We got one last stop we get to make on the tour, which is going to be in Blanton's Bottling Hall. Now, a little bit of history about Blanton's label. It was introduced in 1984 during that large decline in the bourbon industry. The owners of the company at the time, Bertie Falk, Robert Baranaskas, wanted to shake up the bourbon industry with a new handcrafted product. They tasked the master distiller at the time, Elmer T. Lee, to give him one fair shake before he retired. Now, Elmer T. Lee came up with the idea for a single barrel bourbon because he had worked under Albert Blanton. Blanton being the president here from 1921, 1953, threw a lot of parties. He'd tell warehouse managers, hey, grab me this barrel. No, it's going to taste good. They'd bottle that one single barrel up and he'd give those out as party favors to all of his guests. So when they wanted to shake up the bourbon industry with a new product, Elmer T. Lee thought, well, Blanton had great taste. Why don't we just do what he did? They put the first ever single barrel bourbon on the market. And here in America, nobody cared. Doesn't matter how handcrafted, how quality your product is. If it's not hip, it's not cool, people don't want to drink it. But our overseas market loved it, and they helped keep us afloat until this current bourbon boom we're having right now. Now, people insisted, or as the owners of the company insisted, that it be a handcrafted product. We still hand bottle every bottle to this day. We'll tell you more about that when we get inside. Now, this is the last stop on our tour that our dogs won't be able to visit. Other than that, if everybody wants to come in, just follow me in. Or not, there we go.
Oh.
That smells good.
So the barrel entry proof does matter for flavor. Well, it's a combination of like economic causes as well as flavor. We have products that go in dramatically lower than 125. And that's mostly for flavor. But the thing is, as you add more water, it means more volume, which means more barrel, which means more warehouse space.
I'm actually asking, there's a differential rate of evaporation or movement.
Yes.
Is it based upon molecular size?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the ethanol molecules are much bigger than the water ones, and so it's going to diffuse out. Sorry. I misunderstood.
No, that's okay.
But yeah, so the water is going to evaporate out faster. And then it's, of course, with the diffusion pressure, so if it's a higher humidity, you're not going to get as much water out. And we sometimes have had, in different parts of the world, like Scotland, where it's so humid and cool, their proofs will actually go down. They'll have more alcohol go out.
Good to know. Good to know.
So scotches will go in at 125 and come out like 110.
Very dynamic, what's going on there.
Yes. All right, so this building that we're in right now, this is Blanton's Bottling Hall, one of our single barrel bottling halls. Every step of the bottling process is done in miniature right here. They'll roll the barrels in here, dump them, filter them for char, and then they will sit in those copper vats back there, some of which are chill filters, proof the whiskey down appropriately, and it'll sit in these little cisterns up on the upper level. Then, at the top of each line, they'll fill about 4 bottles at a time. Each bottle will have a little paper collar on it. They'll put the topper on and seal it with wax, and before they put on every single label by hand, they'll take that collar off. Now, it might seem weird. You have these little paper collars on, just take them off a minute later. The reason for that is because, as I mentioned, we seal Blanton's with wax. It's hot wax. If it touches your hands, it burns you. Before we had these collars on, people get burn scars on their hands nearly every day. So, as a courtesy to the people who work here, we have these collars on. Take them off if they don't need them anymore. After that, they will put every single label on by hand at these little towed off stations. You will never see a crooked label. These people are incredibly good at their jobs. Then, for standard domestic blends, half the bottles will get sent to nets, which I don't have a good example for here, and the other half will get set into bags and boxes. Now, it might also seem odd that only half the blends get that nice bag and box treatment, but the reason for that is because some people like to collect the toppers. People like to collect the toppers because there's 8 different ones. If every single bottle of Blanton's was in one of these little paper boxes, the people who were trying to see what topper it was would rip open the box and see the topper was on the bottom, and if it wasn't what they'd wanted, they'd try and stuff it back together and hide it behind everything. So as a courtesy to liquor store owners, we let them choose what people can actually get their hands on. Now, people like to collect the toppers because there's 8 different ones, as I mentioned. You can tell that they're different because they have different horses on them. You can also tell they're different because next to the back hook, there's a little letter, and these letters spell out Blanton's, B-L-A-N-T-O, second N-S. These 2 N's are different, you can tell, because they have different horses on them. You can also tell they're different because next to the letter of the second N, there's a colon. 2 small dots to let you know that that is the second N. Which means now that if one of your friends says, hey, I have every single Blanton's topper, but you check that second N, doesn't have a colon next to it, you now have the responsibility to politely tell them that they don't have them all. Now, any quick questions about Blanton's label before we head on to the tasting room?
Can I get an O topper? It just needed an O.
You want to ask them in the gift shop. You want to ask them in the gift shop. We used to sell them, but I don't know if they have them in stock.
Got it.
Real quick, how many bottles a day?
They'll fill about 9,000 bottles a day here in this, and that is between 3 shifts, Monday to Friday. So about 9,000 bottles a day. So yeah, pretty fast for a hand line.
I heard if you get all of them, send it back here and they send you a stave. Is that
Yes, that is a thing that we're doing. We're really behind on those, so they don't like me mentioning it. But that is a thing. You have to mail them to us, though. We do not take them in person anymore because they're rerouting how that happens. It's not happening in the back of the gift shop anymore. They're doing it at a different part, so you have to mail them to us. But yeah, if you collect all the toppers, we will mount them on a stave for you like this. I think they may also just sell them in the gift shop, and it's like $100-ish, but that's a lot cheaper than buying 8 bottles of Blanton's. So you can just buy one of those and then 8 bottles of like Buffalo Trace and come out on top, I think. But yeah, it's just me. So, yeah. Any other questions before we head into the tasting room?
Blanton's Gold.
Blanton's Gold. Also bottled here, bottled at 103 proof. That's the main difference. They pick barrels that taste better at 103 proof versus 93. It used to be exclusive to the Japanese market, but they started selling it in the U.S. as of 2021, 2020, something like that. Now, our next stop is the tasting room, so we'll head out the same door we came in from, just hang out there, but the last one out has to pay for drinks. Start moving. Which is why they left. I can mention it. I don't think we're tasting well on the tasting, so I don't usually mention it.
Can I just on the major?
Yeah, sure. Just one second. Alright, so we had a quick question about the way we were about it. We don't usually always do on the tasting of the tasting all the time, sir. William Brew Weller, he lived at Bourbon in the 1800s. He was the president and founder of Weller and Sons. He was the hired man in William Bailey to do sales and and that has nothing to do with the place like that. In fact, they were quite competitive with each other, at least the Chinley Corporation was. Chinley Corporation, not the nicest company in the world, I'll say that. So yeah, they basically had nothing to do with this place. Problem was, that dip in the industry kind of hit everybody. The Van Winkle family ended up having to sell that Weller Distillery in the 1970s. In the 1980s, Julian Van Winkle III, he set out on his own, started bottling whiskey up under his family's name, even though they didn't have a distillery. In the 1990s, Weller completely shuttered their doors for production. Now, we purchased the Weller label from them around that time, and a few years later, the Van Winkle family put Pappy 20 in competition. It was rated as the best whiskey in the world. So the Van Winkles had the best whiskey in the world, and no distillery. They ended up working with us, and ever since 2002, we made all the Van Winkle labels here for them, and ever since the early 90s, we made the Weller labels here also. So, not a whole lot of history in this place about Weller, not a ton to talk about because he didn't work here. So.